Hey, what's up guys? My name is Alexander Floorzone. Today we are looking at the Vulcan Pro keyboard from Roccat. Thank you to Roccat for sending me this keyboard to review along with the Burst Pro mouse, which the box is actually holding up the keyboard right now. Alright, so with these reviews, I like to start off by showing a little unboxing clip because that gives you a really good idea of the full experience of the product. So opening it up, right on the top we have the wrist rest, which is magnetic. Connects to the bottom of the keyboard magnetically, which is really nice. Packaging is pretty good, nothing super impressive, but then we have the main keyboard and then an instruction manual in the box as well, and that's all. I noticed right away with the keyboard that, well, I should say one of the first things that I noticed with the keyboard was the nice metal top, the aluminum faceplate. It's very nice. Taking it out, I thought it looked really good. Lots of rubber pads on the bottom I noticed right away as well. Some nice peely plastic. Love it. And then the wrist rest just connects on magnetically, which was kind of neat. It doesn't hold on very strong. It'll fall off if you lift it up. So that's kind of a bummer. It would be nice if it was stronger so that you could lift it up if you were going to move your whole keyboard off to the side or something. And you wouldn't have to grab that bottom piece separately. But that's okay. So basically this is a full-sized, somewhat mechanical keyboard. It's their, it has what they call their Titan optical switch. So it's an optical actuation point. It's a little light that gets intersected by the switch and thus activates it rather than by mechanical means, which is supposed to be super fast. But it also has the feel of a mechanical keyboard. It comes in tactile and linear versions. This one's the tactile version. There's the Pro and the non-Pro versions, first of all. The Pro versions have the Titan optical switch, which is an optical switch. The non-Pro do not have that, so they're not as lightning fast in response time. And then there are the TKL form factors. So the TKL form factor is a compact keyboard with no number pad, but otherwise most of the features across all of these are pretty much the same, give or take like one or two very minor visual differences and function differences. This is the full size with the numpad as well. It has 6 macro keys, fancy little volume adjust thing here. It's ratcheted, feels really nice, no bottom to it, just keeps going. And there are a few buttons here, just 3 little buttons for sound stuff. And I gotta say, they are tactile as heck, just like clicky, I guess. They just got this awesome click to them. It's really surprising because you expect it to be a mushy key because it's one of those sort of like rubber, but then when you click it, it's just snappy, which is really nice. Ahead from that, I guess I'd like to just take a look at the body of this thing. It's very nice. You got an aluminum faceplate, which actually gives off a little bit of a sound when you type. You probably can't hear that. It's very subtle. It's kind of a little background noise. It's not annoying at all. The faceplate also makes it extremely sturdy. There's little flex in it. Very little flex, especially for a keyboard this size. It's super solid. Good quality plastics as well. On the bottom, it really feels premium, this keyboard, because you have things like these rubber pads on the top and bottom, the front and back of the bottom, as well as on the little kickstand fold-out feet. We have a rubber pad here when it's folded in, but when you fold it out as well, there's also a rubber pad on this edge. Not to mention the rubber pads on the bottom of the hand rest, which is just a nice little thing that could easily be kind of forgotten. Oh, really quick though, coming back to these little kickstands, they have a really nice feel to them. The way that they open and close, it almost feels like there's a little magnet in there. But I'm pretty sure that that's just some clever German plastic shaping engineering, so that's kind of neat. The weight of this keyboard is also really nice. I believe it's 1,150 grams with the hand rest, and so it's got a premium feel. It doesn't feel like cheap plastic, but that's expected. I mean, it's got an aluminum faceplate. Out from the body, we have a nice braided cord. I believe in the non-Pro models, it's just standard rubber, but it's also non-detachable. On the TKL models, the small ones, it's detachable, which kind of makes sense for you know, pack up, take it on the road kind of situation, whereas you're less likely to be doing that if you're going to be buying a, you know, the Chungus here. Detachable USB-C would be something that I'd like to see on a unit of this price point, particularly with, you know, cords are sensitive. A cord like this breaks, it kind of screws you over a little bit. It's going to be a lot more to switch out that cord than it would be to just buy a new USB-C cable. Not to mention with keyboards, sometimes it's nice to get different cords, and you might want a shorter length cord, or you'll need a really long cord, for example, something like that, although that can be solved with USB extender. But anyway, on from that, on to the real start of the show is the keys, of course. I mean, that's what everybody wants to know, right, when it comes to a keyboard. As I might have said before, they come in a tactile and a linear form. These ones are tactile, but besides that, that's sort of just the feel of the switch, the actual actuation point in the switch. The switch of the switch is a optical switch, so that makes for super fast signals, only on the Pro models, however. But if you're not a competitive gamer or somebody who's really hardcore about those response times, it's not going to make a difference for you. You're probably not going to care. Minecraft with your friends isn't going to benefit from that massively. But anyway, speaking of the actuation point, I believe that these keys have about 3.6mm travel, something like that, but they have a actuation point of 1.8mm on the tactile and 1.4 on the linear. So especially on the linear, that is a tight actuation point with extremely fast switch. So if you're concerned about response times and this keyboard being a viable option in the competitive arena, it is, for sure. As for the actual keys on here and the look, we have a pass-through on here, double injection molded, or whatever they call it, and they are a concave key with a very thin form factor. So it's almost thin like keys on a laptop, not low profile, but extremely thin. And the housing of the switches is also transparent, so this is really meant to show off the RGB. A lot of keyboards that I see are just, you know, they just shine through the legend on the front, and that's cool for a nice stealth look if you're into that. It's definitely not this keyboard. If you're into a stealth look, this is not it. This is a blast out the RGB kind of look. Very bright, very flashy. It's kind of cool though, sort of a unique take on the keycap. Oh, where to go from there, huh? Just a couple more stats. It's rated for 100 million keystrokes. The non-pro model is rated for 50 million, although however many million, twice as many, however many million. I mean, who presses a key 50 million times in the first place? But anyway, they are also very stable. Not a lot of wiggle in there. It's kind of weird though. The only wiggle that I see is not in the keycap or within the switch, but the entire switch itself. Housing and all wiggling on the keyboard. I don't have a ton of experience with mechanical keyboards, not gonna lie, so I'm not sure how normal that is. But moving on from there, let me show y'all the RGB really quick. Oh, forgot to mention on the cord it's got a little keyboard icon, so that's kind of handy to see if you're fidgeting around in the back of your PC. There it is. Bright. It's a little washed out from the lights, but you can see how it shines right through the housing there, right on the side. I'll get some better shots of that. Ooh. Looks fancy when I do that. I don't know why. Well, that's kind of cool. But anyway, features on this thing. I love talking features because a product can just, you know, appear a certain way on the surface, even with all the different buttons, all the different options just right on the product. But then you have things like a first-party software that's developed by the manufacturer to sort of pair with the product, and all of a sudden there's just a gazillion options. I really saw that a lot with the Stealth 700 from Turtle Beach. That was really cool. It's just something that you see in these higher-end products. It's almost like when you go into around the $200 range, all of a sudden it just bursts open the door for all of these extras, features, and stuff, which is really cool. I love it. But anyway, getting into the features on this, there's a program that you download from Roccat's website, real easy to find. It's called Swarm. Now that's going to manage your devices from Roccat. It's going to manage your mouse, going to manage your headset, your keyboard, maybe your mouse pad. Well, they sell mouse pads, so it probably connects to that too. But anyway, there's so many options on there. It's a lot of your RGB, tons of options for that, as well as a bunch of other options that I don't really understand, your preset profiles and all that. Speaking of all these settings, they all save on your keyboard. That's kind of a cool thing. It's got onboard memory and onboard processing. So everything that you set in this program on your computer, as soon as you unplug the keyboard and plug it into another computer, it's going to be running everything the same, which is nice. But getting into the actual features for RGB, we have a bunch of different zones that we can set, WASD, arrow keys, numpad, F keys, etc. I think there's like 9 different zones. The only real option that it's missing for RGB, for most people I would say, is per key setting RGB. Otherwise, I played around with it for like 20 minutes and explored only like half of the options, I think. It was cool messing around with the zones, as each zone you can select a color and also an effect. So that zone can be pulsating or have like a wave thing going across it or whatever, all sorts of stuff like that. So then there's A mode lighting. It's kind of Roccat's special little lighting trademark to make their RGB seem like it's something special. It's kind of cool though. When you have it on, it's just a wave going across your keyboard of the different colors, and then when you press somewhere, it basically lights up that area with the opposite color of whatever color is going across it at the time. I'll show a little clip of that. That was kind of neat. But, oh shoot, I've been typing on my Word document while pressing these keys. I forgot it was plugged into the computer. Well, I didn't delete anything, so that's cool. Anyway, moving on from those features, we have our macro keys as well that you can set and all that in the program. Really easy to use. One feature that was in that program that I don't really understand at all is the sound feedback. So we can turn on a sound, like a typewriter sound, for example. I can see how that would be something that somebody's interested in. Okay, typewriter sound. I want my keyboard to sound like a typewriter. Very cool. Let's turn it up so that you guys can maybe hear it, and then let's try. Maybe try a beam sound, you'll be able to hear better. And it's delayed, and it sounds terrible to me, but maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Now that we've gone over everything, I think I got everything. I hope I didn't miss anything important, but I'm just going to kind of give this a general review perspective from 2 different perspectives. One, from somebody who doesn't really know anything about mechanical keyboards. They just kind of want to try a mechanical keyboard, and they want something premium like this. And second, from the more of the perspective of somebody who knows that they love mechanical keyboards and just wants to know what this one is like. So first of all, if you've never had a mechanical keyboard, let me tell you, just generally, regardless of what keyboard you're looking at, it can be a very different experience. Not necessarily super mind-blowing, transcending, beautiful, you know, tear-inducing at first. It's not going to be great necessarily, especially if you're used to typing on a very low form factor, a very low profile keyboard, like a laptop keyboard, for example. I was personally most used to typing on a laptop keyboard, and going to this, it was difficult. It's hard to get used to. I think if you have proper typing skills, it might help a lot, but generally it's still going to feel very different. There's a lot more key travel, as well as the 3 different main types of key switches. My advice to somebody who hasn't tried mechanical would be to go to a computer hardware store where they have mechanical keyboards that they sell there, and they will often have a setup of like 3 or 4 different mechanical keyboards so that you can try them, because they know that people are in the mechanical keyboard market for the feel of the switches and the feel of the typing generally. So they'll have them set out so you can try them. So my recommendation is that you go and you try them out, because you might be a clicky key person, you might be a tactile, you might be a linear, and if you try one of the other ones and that's your perception of mechanical keyboards, you might be a little disappointed, because although they are somewhat similar, they are still pretty much entirely different. So that would be my recommendation to you before you decide that you really want to go for a keyboard like this. Now, if you've decided that you like mechanical keyboards and you're just looking for a new one, first of all, this is a good feature-packed keyboard. If you really want these things like a volume knob and these extra volume buttons and the macro keys with really nice RGB and like aluminum faceplate, really good build quality, it's good value, especially when you compare it to the Corsair K11. Ooh. So anyways, guys, I guess that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you for coming to watch it. Let me know in the comments what you think about this keyboard. I'm kind of new to the mechanical keyboard world, but it's interesting me a lot more than I expected, to be honest. It's really fun looking at the different specs and the different switches and the RGB. I love the RGB, personally. I'm not a tacky RGB guy with like the rainbow going across this keyboard at 1,000 miles an hour, but I do love some good aesthetic, that I can just change the light every once in a while to different colors. But if you're really big on RGB and you really want a full-size keyboard, this might just be the decently priced chungus that you have been looking for. Just like I've been looking for a sponsor for these videos. This video is sponsored by nobody, but someday somebody might sponsor it. If you hit that like button, get subscribed, turn on that notification bell, and leave a comment as to what you think about this keyboard. If you're new to this channel, I do a lot of tech stuff and reviews and gamer-oriented projects, like the one that you see up on the screen right here, which I'm very proud of. So please check that out if you're interested. And thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.